definitely going to be a word from God because I didn't prepare this one. No, didn't have time. So if anybody gets any problem, take it with the Lord. It's not my issue. I honestly didn't. I got the theme as soon as I got the rota, but I haven't really had time to really listen to God about where is this theme going. So I've had bits and bobs that I didn't really expand on, but we will see what God meant. You know, he might expand it on somebody else's, you know. So the heading of it is, who or what are you carrying in your vessel? So we're going to start with the book of Jonah on this one. I'll read the first chapter, the whole of it first. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare, went down into it to go in with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. Then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down into the lowest parts of the ship, had laid down, and was fast asleep. So the captain came to him and said to him, What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us, so that we may not perish. And they said to one another, Come, let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this trouble has come upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, Please tell us, for whose cause is this trouble upon us? What is your occupation? And where do you come from? What is your country, and what people are you? So he said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the seas and the dry land. Then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, Why have you done this to us? Why have you done this? For when the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them, then they said to him, What shall we do to you that the sea may be calm for us? The sea was growing more tempestuous. And he said to them, Pick me up, throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that this great tempest is because of me. Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to return to land, but they could not, for the sea continued to grow more tempestuous against them. Therefore they cried out to the Lord and said, We pray, O Lord, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us with innocent blood. For you, O Lord, have done it as it pleased you. So they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea ceased its raging. I know that Andrew has spoke about Jonah quite a few times these past few weeks, and I kept on thinking, I think every one of us can have a Jonah. I think this one is for me as well as everyone. You know, it probably was for me mostly. Every single one of us have got a Jonah. You realize? Do you notice how Jonah went down into the depths of the ship? Sometimes there is things. It can be hidden sin. It's not necessarily can it be hidden sin. It can just be hidden sin, or it can be just something that we like. Or like if you're like me, you've got children, it might be children. You know, it's something that is holding you from fulfilling God's purpose. I'm not saying that we shouldn't look after our children. I'm just saying because I know what I'm like. And I know my sister there as well has got the same. And Mick has got, and Sheila have got Sarah. You know, when your children call, you answer. It doesn't matter when it is. But sometimes it can be, the love for the children, it's like the umbilical cord is not being cut off sometimes. You know, it can be an unhealthy attachment that I can hold my hand up. I have struggled letting go of my children. I have treated them as if they were still my babies. They will always be my babies. They will always be my babies. But sometimes, God has dealt with me in this issue. I can say that I am really improved. Because there is a day when I was fasting, and when God is talking to you, He said, "So now you are gonna be their God." You're gonna be their God. Because sometimes we can play God in our children's lives. Instead of letting them at least have that experience of who God is. Because if I'm gonna be protecting, that's not the right word, because I've got, as a mother, it's my duty to sort of guide and protect. But sometimes we can be too much into our children, so much that they don't experience who God is, because they've got you as their God, sort of. Because any little thing that they encounter, they run to you, And when that came to me, I sort of took a step back. It was heart-wrenching. It was painful. Yeah. It was painful. You know how I know that our cultures are different. Where I come from, when you want to teach a child to not just be crying all the time, you leave it for a bit. You leave the child for a bit to cry, so that the child doesn't keep crying for silly things like, oh, if I cry, my mom is gonna pick me up. No, leave the child to cry for a bit. Yes, you leave the child to cry for a bit. So, but when the child is crying for a bit, you are holding your hands like this. You're like, oh, dear me, hold me. And 2 minutes looks like 20 minutes when you're a mother and you're sort of trying to teach your child to behave and to know that you don't have to cry all the time. So that's how it was with me, that I had to sort of take a little step back at first, and then, you take a little step back, and then no, I'm gonna help this time. And then you take another little step back, and you're like, oh, dear me, Lord, what about this time? This time, Lord, they are really, Lord. But, because God is such a loving Father, He is working on them and He's working on you as well. He's working on me at the same time. So, with the issue of Jonah went into the depths. To me, that was never, until I kept speaking to Grace, to me, that was never a hindrance. Because we've had some really difficult decisions, Grace, to a point where I was angry with Grace at some point. I'm not afraid to say. I'll say, well, you don't understand. Things like that, well, you don't understand. You don't understand how I feel, blah, blah, blah. But when you want to know that a friend is a friend, a friend will never agree with you just for the sake of agreeing with you. And I value Grace so much, because I know that if I talk to her, it doesn't matter where I'm going. Even if when I'm lost, she will tell me that, no, on this one, no. I'll go off in a sort of a half, not happy with it, but God will talk to me, and I will see the way that, according to the book, the book of life. So this one, like Jonah, it was in my depth, underneath, all hidden. You know how sometimes you're like, Lord, search my heart and show me. It's in Psalms 139. Lord, search my heart, because I love to pray that prayer when things are going wrong and I'm not identifying. I can't feel myself. I know that I'm sort of wobbly, but I can't identify what it is. I usually pray, Lord, search my heart. Search my heart and see what is wrong with me, and identify whatever is wrong in me and reveal it to me. You know the Jeremiah one again that Andrew mentioned, is, I think it's Jeremiah 33 verse 3, is it? You know, it says, cry unto me, call unto me, and I will show you great and mighty things that I do not know. I use those two scriptures. When I don't understand what it is that is hindering me, that I'm praying, but my prayers, there is a ceiling, they are bouncing off the ceiling, they are coming back down to me, I can't go through. I will pray, Lord, search me. Show me what is hidden. And he will show you. And that was hidden. That was my Jonah. That was my Jonah there. My Jonah, I'm like, no, these are not my Jonah, Lord, they are my children, my beloved children. And then God will be like, they are mine. You know, they are his, they're not mine. He just borrowed me them to look after them, you know. So we have to look deep underneath to the depths of our being to see what is it that is hidden underneath. Some things, like I'm saying, that it's something as innocent as my beloved children. Not that I don't help them, I help them, but I don't feel like, oh, if I wasn't here tomorrow, what's going to happen to my children? They will all perish. No. That's how unhealthy it was, that I thought that if I wasn't here, they would totally, starve to death. So I was playing God over my children. And that in playing God over my children, I am limiting my purposes, my chances of fulfilling my purposes in God, and limiting my children's purpose of even getting to know who God is. Because they've never got to a desperate situation where they say, there is God. When they get to a desperate situation, there is mom. You know what I mean? When they get to a desperate situation, there is mom. But now they know. They know that there is God. They now know that there is God. We go to mom just to let her what the situation is. And then mom can help to pray. So we just need to get into the depth and identify Jonah. We identify Jonah. Who is it that is in your vessel? And even when sometimes when even, like I've said, when even God has identified what it is that is the problem, we become like the people, these sailors. Jonah told them that I am the problem, but what did they do? They tried to negotiate, they tried to get to the shore so that they are still carrying Jonah with them. They are trying to beat the storm. You can't beat God. When he wants to sort you out, he's going to sort it out. There is no negotiation about it. There is no compromise. So they said, because Jonah told them, pick me up and throw me into the sea. But they rolled hard, hard. You can give yourself excuses. Oh, no, this is fine. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. No, it's not going to happen because the storm is just going to be even bigger and bigger and bigger. In the end, if you don't throw Jonah out, both of you are going to drown. Yeah. Whereas if you throw Jonah out the way that I sort of took a step back from my children, God saves both of you. Because the sailors were saved, and Jonah was saved. God sent a big fish. He says that he made ready a big fish, didn't it? Yeah. It's as if that fish wasn't existing at that time, but God made it specifically for Jonah. God can make a specific solution for your specific problem. Just throw Jonah out of the boat. Throw Jonah out of the ship, and then both of you then are saved, isn't it? Because otherwise, if Jonah remains in the vessel, both of you are going to drown. And then what use would that be? Nothing, And then from there, a very, very totally different one. That's why I'm saying, who are you carrying in your vessel? We'll read on Matthew 8. verse 23 to 27. Matthew 8. Matthew 8, verse 23. This is about Jesus getting into the boat. Now, when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. And suddenly, a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with waves, but he was asleep. Jonah was asleep, Jesus was asleep. Two different situations, though. Then his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us. We are perishing. I don't know which one of the four Gospels it says, do you not care that we perish? They were a bit dramatic, these disciples. Do you not care that we perish? Lord, save us, we are perishing. But he said to them, why are you fearful, O you of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was great calm. Two different scenarios. When you've got Jesus in your vessel, the storm rises, you tell Jesus about it. The storm is told off, and everything is back to calm. Isn't that wonderful? The storm is raging on Jonah, everything is lost. You know, we are holding on to Jonah, and the storm is getting bigger and bigger. We are throwing our bags out, we are throwing all our treasures out, we are throwing everything out, trying to save Jonah, holding on to Jonah. But we are losing everything. We are losing everything. Throw Jonah out, you retain everything. You know, by the time they threw Jonah out, these are merchants. You know, they are merchants. They had loads and loads of goods that they were going to sell in Tarshish, because that was a trading port. So the ship was full of goods, expensive goods. So they are still holding on to Jonah. They have thrown away everything. They have lost everything. So when thankfully, by the time they came to their senses and threw him out, they were still alive. You know, they were still alive to start afresh, but they had lost everything because of holding on to Jonah. It's sometimes the thing that we hold on to when God has identified it. In his mercy, though, we can still be alive, but sometimes we might even lose our lives because of holding on to Jonah. But when you've got Jesus in your boat, everything, the storm, however big it is, because he is the one who created the storm. He speaks to the storm and the storm becomes quiet. You know why the storm wasn't bothered about the bags that were being thrown into the sea? The storm had been told to look for Jonah by its maker. The storm had been told to go and look for Jonah. So the storm was not gonna. It wasn't gonna stop until it's found Jonah. So the minute the storm received Jonah, we found him. Full stop. The storm has found what it has been sent to find. So until we bow down, especially, I think most of the time, especially when we know the Lord, and because Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice. And there is no Christian who can say that they don't hear God's voice. The only problem, we are waiting for a booming voice. No. He can still speak vocally. You can hear him, but most of the time we hear him with our inner ear, in his word. Because if you're saying that you can't hear God, which means that you are not reading his word. Because this is his word, this is his message. He's got every solution to every human problem that you can encounter. Everything, every counseling session is in the Bible. Everything that you can need is in there. So when somebody says that they don't hear God, they are not reading his Bible. They are not reading his word because it is the word. Is the word, is the Holy Spirit breathed the word of God. When he created the world, the earth, he used the word. He opened his mouth and spoke. So this is still his word. He still speaks. He's still alive today. Like I'm saying that there are verses that people pray. Everything is in here. Every prescription is in here that we can use against anything, against any situation. There is a verse for every situation that strengthens you, you know. I'm not saying that everything it changes. The situation might remain the same, but the situation inside you changes. Spiritually, the situation in you changes. Because what's the name of, is it what's the name, who was blind, who composed a lot of songs? Cosby, yeah. Did the situation about her eyes change? No. Fanny Crosby. Her situation didn't change, but the peace that was inside her changed. Yeah, there are people who get diagnosed with cancer, and in the beginning, the person is distraught, which is a normal human reaction, is destroyed. But you know the difference between somebody who get a diagnosis of cancer, who is in the Lord, who knows the Lord, and the person who doesn't know the Lord, is there's going to be a change in the situation, even if God decides not to heal that person. There is a healing that us human beings do not see. There is an inner healing where you find the person so peaceful that you're thinking, has this person not heard that they've said is terminal? But because that person knows, the person has heard from God, the storm has been silenced. The storm has been silenced. They are not holding on to the word of the enemy saying, oh, now look what's happened. Where is your God? No, my God has told me that all is well. As long as God says all is well, you know. And when there are quite a lot of scriptures that I had written down. That is the one where Jesus walks on water. Because before he went into the boat, when he walked on water, he said, let us go to the other side. He had already said, let us go to the other side. But then the disciples ended up getting into the boat by themselves, and then when Jesus followed, they thought he was a ghost, and then Peter you know the story. Peter gets into the boat, and they are afraid. But as soon as they received him, I think the Gospel of John, I think, is John 6, because it depends on which Gospel you are reading. Some of it says it in a way that you can visualize it, and some just fluff over it a bit. But the one on John 6, it says, as immediately they received him, they were where they were supposed to be. That's what happens when you've got Jesus in your vessel. When you let him into the vessel, you are where you are supposed to be. But when he's not in the vessel, you are afraid. You don't know what's going on. In Deuteronomy 28, thereabout, because Deuteronomy 28 starts with the blessings, and then you flip over, is the curses. One of the curses says that you have no assurance of life. You won't have any assurance of life when Jesus is not in the vessel. But as soon as he steps into the vessel, you are where you are supposed to be. It doesn't matter how far behind you were lagging, but as soon as you accept him in the vessel, you are where you are immediately. He says that immediately they accepted willingly. Yeah, he says willingly accepted him in the boat. They were on the other side. It doesn't say anything about, they rowed and got to the other side. No, immediately they were on the other side. So, when you know Jesus, it is like Andrew as well. Andrew, one of the disciples with the story with Jesus, with the 2 fishes and the loaf of bread. I always found it very weird that you've got more than 5,000, because the 5,000, they are just counting men. They're not counting women and children. It's just the men, 5,000. So which means that they probably were Knowing women, we're always more than men, aren't we? when, when there is something that's going, that seems to be, yeah. So they probably were 10,000. And Philip says there is too many people here, we can't feed them. And Andrew, for some reason, which I always found really weird, because you can imagine some of the disciples going, why even mention it? Why even mention it? He says, there is a boy here with 2 fishes and 1 loaf. Why would you even mention it? Seriously though, if you think about it, not even here, I wouldn't say, oh, there is 2 fishes and a loaf, to go around. You would just say, we don't have food, full stop. Because in your human eyes, it doesn't make any sense for the person to even mention the 2 fishes and 5 loaves. It just doesn't make any sense. But Andrew knew who was around. He knew that Jesus is in our midst. There must have been something about Jesus that he understood. When you say something is sort of in passing, as if, I think he knew what was going to happen, because he just said it in passing as if he didn't know what he was saying. Because otherwise, why would he even say it? Why even mention the 5 loaves of bread? They're not going to even get to 10 or even to 100. Just join Philip and say that there are too many people here, we can't even feed them. But Andrew pipes in and say, there is a boy here with his lunch. A boy here with his lunch, he packed himself some lunch, this boy. He was sensible, wasn't he? And he was a boy, not even a grown-up. He's the only person amongst everybody who packed himself lunch. Everybody else was hungry, and nobody could feed him. And Andrew says, there is a boy here with his lunch. The last bit of that, he says something to the effect, but what can this do amongst so many? But he must have known. He must have known that we've got the Lord around. When the Lord is around, wonders happen. And they do happen. They do happen. He silences the sea, the raging sea in our lives. He silences it. He makes wine, delicious wine, wine that even the master of the ceremony thought, wow, this is wonderful. He makes wine out of water, just plain water. It didn't need to ferment, it didn't need to do what. It went through all the stages of wine making within a second. He makes the blind see. That's the Jesus that when you accept him in your vessel, anything is possible. Yeah. Anything is possible. The soldier, what's his name? The one with the daughter who was already dying. He knew, even though he was a Roman soldier, he knew that this man has got something that no other man. He said, just say the word. Yeah, the centurion, just say the word. You don't need to come to my house. Just say the word. That alone to me is such a revelation that somebody to have so much faith. You don't need to step into my house. Just say the word. Your word travels. That's the word. That's the same word, the same voice that silenced the storms. And that's the same word that can still silence the storm today. If only we can just throw Jonah out. God digging for Jonah, because Jonah has gone down into the depths of the ship. Jonah is fast asleep. It's not even moving. You can't even feel Jonah moving. He's fast asleep while you are above here, wondering what's going on, what's happened, oh, blah, oh, what am I going to do? Jonah is snoring away, totally oblivious. Yeah. Throw Jonah out and let the lead in. I know that all of us here, because there is only a few of us, but we are all born again Christians and washed by the blood of Jesus, and we know the Lord. But if anybody will watch later on, just ask the Lord to show who is your Jonah, or what is your Jonah. It can be a what, or it can be a who. Something that has got a stronghold in your life, or someone that has got a stronghold in your life, so much that you are not doing what God created you for. It's holding you back from fulfilling God's purposes in your life. Just ask, Lord, search me and show me if there is any offense in me. We've got a lot of offenses, Some of the offenses, we know them, but we are just trying to negotiate with God. We are trying to compromise with God. God doesn't compromise. There is no compromise. It's either clean or it's dirty. If it's dirty, it's just going to go into the sea. That is if it's a thing. But if it's a person, you are both holding, you are holding yourself and that person's life. The destinies that God meant for you and that person to happen. You are holding. So throw Jonah out and both of you are going to be saved. Or all of you are going to be saved. Because otherwise it will be all of you going down. Yeah. So that's the little bit that I ended up on. Thank you.